Good morning, everybody. This is Alicia Katz Pollock, and welcome to the Beginner's Guide to QuickBooks Online. We are sponsored today by Mariette Martinez from Master Your Books. I want to give a special shout out to Mariette. Thank you for all your support with Master Your Books. So if any of you on the call today are bookkeepers who are just getting started with your practice, Mariette is an amazing cheerleader and coach who can help you get your practice up and running. She's absolutely amazing, and thank you today for all of your support. Why are we here today? This session is specifically designed for people who are new to QuickBooks Online. So either you're a brand newbie, you've never used it, or you're just getting started out with it. Maybe you're somebody who was on QuickBooks Desktop and you're thinking about moving over to QuickBooks Online and want to see what it's all about. This is great for you too. If you're a bookkeeper on this call, some of this might be a little elementary for you, but if you are talking to your clients about using QBO, you're going to pick up a lot of ways of thinking about it and communicating about it to really get them enthusiastic for the change and all the possibilities that are in front of them. What we are going to talk about today are all the things that I love about QuickBooks Online and why I'm such a fan of it. Some of the reasons are that it's completely customizable to your company's needs. It's multi-user and it's mobile. It has fully integrated business tools. The business workflows are really easy to use. It helps you visualize your data for success, for growth. Everybody, make sure that you stay after the end. We are scheduled until 11 o'clock, but afterwards I'm going to open up the floor and everybody can join on video and audio if you want to. You can ask all your questions. I'll answer them all. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about me while everybody is settling in. My name is Alicia Katz Pollock, and I am a top 100 pro advisor. In fact, for 2021, I made the top 200 cut, and voting is open right now. I am a member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network, and I am one of Intuit's national training team. If you go to the Intuit certification trainings at qbtrainingevents.com, I'm one of the speakers, and I also speak at conferences like QuickBooks Connect and Scaling New Heights. At my own website, Royalwise.com, I have a mentorship membership program where I love training people. That's what I do. Rather than being a bookkeeper with a practice where I help people with their books, I train the business owners on how to use QuickBooks, and I train the bookkeepers on how to use QuickBooks too. And I do that through live classes like the one that you're in today and the one I'm having next week. And on my website at Royalwise.com, I also have this vast library. We call it the OWLS, the OWLS, the on-demand web-based learning solution. And so it's a place where you can go to really get immersed in all things QBO. We also have Apple training and Microsoft Office training as well. As I mentioned, I am a published author. I have my How to Use QBO paperback, and I also have a couple other books as well. I have a more advanced book for convenience stores and gas stations, and this is how to do QuickBooks in a retail environment. And I am also excited and proud to show you that I am the author of this big, gigantic book, which is How to Use QuickBooks Desktop. And it's a college textbook from Questiva Consulting. And I am right now in the project to rewrite it for QBO. And so that's coming out this fall. So that's enough about me. Let's get to why you are here. You can download the presentation for today. So today's class is really just designed to be a high-level survey of what QBO is about. This picture of this iceberg is just absolutely perfect analogy. Today, we're going to look at what QBO does. So we're just going to talk about the things that you can look forward to when you're using it. In my QuickBooks Online Fundamentals class, we're going to actually get our hands dirty and actually show you how to use QBO, how to do all the fundamental workflows that you need for your daily business. So that's kind of my core course for my entire portal, and it's a great opportunity to really just see all of the things that entails. And 6 hours sounds like a lot, but like I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. That's that middle section on the how-to. In my library, I also have over 40 different courses about all different elements of using QBO so that you can just pick and choose the topics that you need for your practice. During this session today, it is an open forum, and so I'm going to have Q&A slides pop up periodically. boom, let's do this. I want to share with you all the reasons why I love QBO and why I recommend it to my clients. The first of the reasons is that it's fully customizable to your company's needs. Every company is different and you have different workflows. Some of you just need your QuickBooks to be a glorified checkbook. And some of you need your QuickBooks to be able to hyper-analyze your company so that you can use it as a growth management tool. So the truth is that QBO spans the range. The way that they do that is they have 5 different flavors or 5 different versions of QBO, starting at self-employed and going down to advanced. So the first thing that you want to do is figure out which is the right version for you. And if you pick wrong, it's no problem. You can downgrade, you can upgrade. But whenever I'm working with somebody, I always want them to have that best fit experience. The self-employed is actually kind of a separate version. It's not something that I generally recommend to people because if you are somebody who you don't even have a business checking account and you don't really charge your customers, just like you have a hobby and some people give you money, or maybe you're a gig worker for something like Uber, that's where self-employed comes in. But if you have a hobby that you want to turn into a business, don't start there. Start with Simple Start. Simple Start is for startup companies, and it's still kind of a glorified checkbook, but it allows you to create invoices and send them to your customers, and then they can pay those invoices so you can track your income and you can track your expenses. It only has one user, just you, although you get 2 more accounts for your bookkeepers or accountant friends, people who are helping with your business. And the price on that is $25 a month. Next version up is the Essentials version. And this is where most small businesses should really start. This adds in accounts payable. So not only can you make an invoice to pay later, but then you can also put in your bills as they come in, and then you can pay those bills electronically. It also has 3 logins. So if it's not just you, but you have a partner or you have some other employees, then Essentials allows all of you to log in. And I'll talk more about that. Then the Plus version is for businesses who are thriving. They introduce some additional features like classes and locations and some more robust features. You can have 5 logins, plus your 2 for the accountant, for your accounting team. Plus allows you to really slice and dice your numbers and look at your reports. And right now it's $70 and it's going up to $80. Then there's the advanced version, and this is really meant for complex companies. So it has up to 25 different users. It has high-end reporting tools and key performance indicators and charts and batch entry and things that more robust companies need. One thing that I want you to know about these prices is these are the prices if you sign up yourself through QuickBooks. But if you are working with a bookkeeper, bookkeepers get ProAdvisor pricing, and so we can sometimes get you wholesale rates. Or if you're working with a bookkeeper, some bookkeepers build it into their fees. So speaking to the business owners on the call, if you work with an accounting professional, we can get you in a little bit cheaper. Now, multi-user considerations. For those of you who are coming over from desktop, this is one of the big changes. If you're using QuickBooks Desktop, you have to buy a separate copy for everybody who is logging in at the same time. So not only do you pay $300 for one copy, but if you have 3 people who need it, now you're paying $900. Then you have to have a server, someplace where you actually keep that file so that everybody can access it. And maybe it's a server inside your company, or maybe you have to subscribe to Right Networks or one of the other hosting services, but then you have this other hosting service that you have to pay for and manage. If you're using desktop, your accountant needs some way to get to your data. And so either you're just sending them the reports and they don't even really see the information, or maybe you're sending them a copy on a thumb drive, or maybe you're making an accountant's copy and they're making changes on the history and you're making changes in the live data, and the 2 of them aren't really talking together. It gets really awkward. And so this is one of the reasons why QBO is so fantastic, because anybody can log in from any computer. Doesn't matter whether it's a Mac or a PC. Everybody can work simultaneously, and everybody has their own permissions for what they can do and what they can't do. So it's not like everybody has full access. You can still limit certain people can only do this and certain people can only do this. But the really amazing part is that your bookkeeper can work from home, or your accountant doesn't have to wait for you to send reports. They can just go log in and get whatever information they need anytime. So that multi-user is really absolutely phenomenal. In addition, there's a mobile app that you can pull up QuickBooks Online right on your phone or on your tablet. So if you have employees out in the field, they can make their estimates right then and there and email them right to the company. You don't have to fill a paper in on a clipboard and take it back to the office and enter it into the system. The app has amazing abilities. Also, you can categorize your banking transactions while you're sitting there at soccer practice. It really puts your QuickBooks in the palm of your hand. And not only are you no longer forced to sit at the one desk that has QuickBooks on it, but you don't even have to be in any office anywhere. It's all just right in the palm of your hand. Another thing about QBO is it's not meant to be all things to all people. It has a whole host of third-party apps where you can customize your QuickBooks experience to your company's needs by having these extra little subscriptions that solve your pain points. So if your company is e-commerce, you can integrate your e-commerce to your QuickBooks to import the transactions. Or if you have a customer relationship management, a CRM system like Salesforce, you can integrate it into your QuickBooks. Or if you have any other software systems, a lot of them all talk to QuickBooks Online, so that way it can integrate the information and you don't have to have some information in one system and then other information in another system. So for example, maybe you have robust inventory needs. You can manage your inventory in that external app, which, you can have all the guys in the warehouse managing their inventory there, and then just the final numbers come into your QBO. It works great for billing, receipt workflow, and it's a great way of having all of your business function with apps that are designed for those particular functions and have it all feed into your accounting system. So the whole ecosystem is amazing. For example, Melio, that's a brand new integration where you can actually pay your bills from right inside your QBO. It allows you to, you look at your list of bills and you're like, oh, I want to pay this one, and this one. And they will either do a direct deposit and just send them the money from bank account to bank account, or it'll cut them a check and send a check on your behalf, which means you don't have to have check stock feeding through your printers, trying not to jam it. Oh no, I printed on the wrong side. Now I have to void these check numbers. Manual check printing is a thing of the past with Melio, and it's all built in. And there's, tiny little fees for the third-party apps. Some of them are free. Some of them are pay per use. And some of them have a monthly expense. The thing to remember is that all of this is priced to actually save you money. And I know that sounds counterintuitive. The whole world has gone to subscription-based. And with QBO, the benefit of that is that they're rolling out new features all the time. So you're never working on old software. It's all cutting edge all the time. With the subscription based, it actually works out better in the end that if you're hosted with multi-user, your costs have just absolutely plummeted down. The way that I like to think about the return on investment, ROI, is like this. Let's say the bank feed, just one feature. If the bank feed saves you 1 hour a week on data entry, and that's conservative, but let's just say 1 hour a week, and you earn $20 an hour, and that's also conservative. That's $80. It has saved you $80 a month. And the cost of QBO is less than $80. So therefore, you actually just saved money by subscribing to it. So there's tons of different automations. There's a lot of things that you traditionally had to type in yourself or work that you had to do to make your QBO work. There's so many automations. It saves so much time over traditional bookkeeping that it's worth every single penny. I want to take a moment and take a breath and do a little bit of Q&A. Marissa had asked, how do we get the book for desktop? And that was the textbook that I have. The website for this is questivaconsulting.com. I want to start showing off the cool things that I love about QBO. It's full of innovative features that are either cutting edge in the industry and especially cutting edge over desktop. QBO does things that desktop could never dream of doing. The first thing is the banking feed. It's kind of the hallmark or the central command of your QuickBooks Online experience. It's way more robust than desktop. It does a lot of things that desktop can't do. And so the purpose of the banking feed is you connect all your checking accounts and all your savings accounts and all your credit cards. And every day you go in and click update, and it brings up the transactions that are brand new in the bank. You look at that list, and either QBO will match them to the work that you've already done in the system, like, oh, here's a deposit. Oh, that's these sales receipts. And it will confirm the work that you're doing. Or for your routine transactions, you can also use it as a data entry system. In fact, it has rules that you can automate. So for example, if your Verizon bill, instead of having to put in your Verizon expense every single month, let's even say that the Verizon is 75% business, but 25% personal. You don't even have to split it every single month. You can tell QuickBooks Online that if the bank detail says Verizon, then split it 75% telephone utility and 25% owner draw, and it will just see the transaction, make the split, and put it in the register, and you don't even see it anymore. Let's actually take a look at what that looks like. So right now, I just went over to the test drive of QuickBooks. That's a sample file. It's a sandbox where you can go in and play with it and try it out. So this is a sample company called Craig's Landscaping. So this isn't real information. But notice here I'm in the banking center, which is over here on the left-hand side, and my checking account, my savings account, and my MasterCard are all connected. And when I look at the checking account, this is everything that has cleared the system. And my job every single day is just to empty all of these and get them down to zero. And that tells me that I'm current. And I can see on the list that I have these green 1 records found. That means that these transactions are already in QuickBooks and they have finally cleared the bank. And then all I have to do is just go through and match them to take them off of the list. In this case, it's like, oh, hey, you've got 2 $75 transactions. I don't know which one it is. And we can say, all right, we've got these 2, the dates here. Oh, this is that expense right there. And so I'll go ahead and I'll match that one. After you've been through all of your matches, you look at the things that didn't match, and then you can code what they were. Oh, A1 rental, that was my equipment rental, and you can go in and actually code the transactions for what they actually were. If you want to get advanced with your detail, now for those of you who are like small business, you're probably not going to do this next thing that I'm going to show you. But for those of you who are medium to large businesses, if I'm going to rent this equipment, I want to know what job I'm renting it for, and I can assign it to whichever customer job I'm actually working on. And then I can put in notes and all of that. But so you can see that you can just go ahead and add the transactions right from here. There's also this whole rules area up here at the top. And this is where, like I said, you can program it. And so you can say, you know, if the bank detail always says Starbucks, then that's an owner draw unless it's more than $15, in which case it's meals and entertainment. It's really amazing how you can automate it. And I have some clients that are pretty routine about their transactions, and I have her rules set up so like 95% of everything just enters, and we only just code her checks, and that's it. Now, the thing with this banking feed is you have to use it correctly, and you can't really just figure it out on your own, because it's either going to be your best friend or it's going to be your worst nightmare. If you don't use the banking feed right, you actually create bad data. So getting trained in using the banking feed is one of the best things that you can do. I have a link on the screen here, royl.ws. It's our little bit.ly shortcode link, / QuickBooks-online-banking with capital letters. That will take you to my 2-hour class just about the banking center so that you can learn how to use it properly and get great data and save you tons of time. So if you spend 2 hours with me, you're going to save hours and hours and hours and hours in your daily work. The next thing that I love about QBO is that it has built-in merchant services. So if your clients are used to using PayPal or Square, those can be really cumbersome to manage, because you've probably noticed that if you send somebody a $100 invoice in PayPal, what shows up in your bank account isn't $100, it's $96.81. And they take out all of their fees. And so you as the business owner or the bookkeeper have to go into every single transaction and subtract those fees out of it. While Square and PayPal are like kind of convenient for the business owner for taking the transactions. They're a piggle wiggle on your bookkeeping. Moving over to the merchant services inside QBO is one of the best things that you can do. The rates are totally competitive with Square and PayPal on credit cards. They're right about the same. You can take all the major credit cards. You can also do ACH, which are electronic checks. So somebody can give you their routing number and checking number, and you can go ahead and just run their check automatically through the system. The credit card fees are roughly 3%. If you have a live card, you can even get a swiper, and that takes it down to 1.5%. The ACH rates are 1% with a maximum of $10. Now, here's the coolest part of it is that it automates your getting paid as well. You can email a customer an invoice, and that invoice will have a pay now button, and they can just click pay now, and then it takes them to a portal where they can put in their credit card or their banking information. And then what happens in your QuickBooks is it creates a payment, it puts it in undeposited funds, it batches all your sales for the day together, and then matches up with the bank fee that I showed you earlier. And it does all of that behind the scenes. So there's literally nothing that you have to do other than send them the invoice. People love it. It's so much easier to pay people than it is to like go log into an app or write checks and put them through the mail. This will totally speed up your accounts receivable process, and you're going to get your money faster. Another really cool way of using it is with automating your sales receipts. Let's say you have a business that you charge your customers the same thing every single month. You can make a sales receipt that runs automatically on the day you specify, that either charges their card or does the ACH and emails them a receipt. And you know what? You just see magic money show up in your checking account. It just runs behind the scenes and you don't have to lift a finger. So how much time are you spending with invoicing and printing out invoices and sending them through the mail or emailing them to people constantly? There's so many ways of streamlining by using the service is called QuickBooks Payments or QB Payments. So again, I have a course about this. So I have a 1-hour course that shows you how to set it up, how to use it, and takes you through all the workflows, whether it's sending an email or setting up those automated payments, but I even demonstrate how to plug in the reader and how to actually swipe the Bluetooth reader as well. So I do a full demonstration of that. Next innovation is called the Projects Center. The Project Center doesn't even exist in desktop and doesn't exist anywhere else except in QuickBooks Online, and it's in the Plus and the advanced versions. If you are somebody who you have a customer, but you do different projects for that customer, this is great for contractors. This is great for artists. What you can do is you create a project that you're working on, and it brings together all of the income and all of the expenses for that particular customer project all together in one place. If you're using desktop, you've got your expenses on one side and you've got your income on the other, and they don't meet in the middle. This shows you what your income is. It shows you what your expenses are, including job costing your labor. So if you're using the timesheets, you can actually include how much your labor costs are in this profit report. It gives you this one central place where you can put in all the income and all the expenses by the project, and it gives you this wonderful management dashboard for the whole thing. When I have a customer who's projects based, I actually teach them to use the Project Center as their QBO hub. I don't even send them to the other places. They just go to the Project Center and they do all the work for that project right here in the Project Center. Payroll can also be built in. There is a full service payroll. You can direct deposit it. You could also print out your checks, but very few people do that these days. It's so much easier just to get your employees' bank information and just the money just shows up in their bank accounts. It even pays the taxes for you. So you don't have to even go log into the state and federal websites. It just does it all in-house. And so it's beautiful. It's absolutely streamlined. Now, I do want to say though, in full disclosure, that their payroll system is not right for everybody. If you have complex payroll, if you have construction payroll, if you need job costing in your payroll, this might not be robust enough for you. And you might want to take a look at Patriot or Gusto or ADP. But for small companies that just have really straightforward payroll, it's really pretty amazing. I just published a course on it, so brand new information, and the link is there as well. And so this is a 2-hour course that goes through how to add in all of your employees, how to set up all of their payroll parameters, and how to actually do the payroll runs and pay the taxes. That video shows you all of that. Here's another innovation. And for me, this is one of my favorite things. I travel a lot. Well, at least I used to travel a lot, and I'm hoping to start traveling a lot again. Traditionally, I would go to conferences or we would go on trips, and I would turn everything into a working vacation. Every time I got a paper receipt, whether I'm in the airport or out at a meal, you can just take that paper receipt and take a picture of it with your phone, and it uploads into QBO for you. You get the picture of the receipt and you can code it for what it's for. And then when it clears the bank, it will just match those receipts. Alternatively, if you upload the receipt and the transaction's already in QuickBooks, it will recognize it and it will add the attachment, the image to the transaction, so that when you open up the expense transaction, it has a little link and you can click on it and the receipt pops up right there. So that way you can have all of your documentation and your paper backups all inside the file. You can use it with your employees. You can even email receipts in. So if you get a PDF in your email, you can forward that PDF and it will show up in the system. Or if you have files that are stored, you can also drag and drop them into the system as well. And then you code them, match them, and it's amazing. I have a course called Look What I Found that's completely free in my portal. And in Look What I Found, every time they introduce a new feature, I do a demonstration of it. And then I just put them all those new features into the LWIF course. And so make note of that one. That one is free to absolutely everybody, and it shows a lot of these bells and whistles. Another one is mileage tracking. Now, this one only works for the primary admin on the account. So usually it's a tool for the business owner, but you turn it on in your app on your phone, and then it tracks your mileage. And then you can see every trip, and you can code all of your trips to business, personal, personal, business, business, personal, and it keeps track of what your tax deduction should be. So if you're used to keeping a paper mileage log, then this is a great solution. Like I said, though, it's only good for one person. And so if you have other employees who also have to track miles, I'm a big fan of Mile IQ. I even have an affiliate link for that, but you can get a discount on it. There is mileage tracking for the business owner in here. A new feature that is so new that only 5 people are using it, but I use it and I love it. There's a new feature called QB Cash, or QB Cash Flow and Envelopes. It's an Intuit-owned bank account that you set up inside your QBO. So you just apply for it in seconds and it shows up. And then you can make envelopes for different things that you want to save for. So you can set aside your payroll taxes so that you don't spend your tax money, but instead of paying the government your payroll taxes. Or maybe you're saving up for equipment, or you have a rainy day fund, or you are doing the profit first module and you want to make sure that your owner has their profits set aside. You can silo off money into these untouchable envelopes. It's all still in the checking account, but it means that you aren't spending the money you're trying to save. It fully integrates with your QuickBooks payments, so you can set it up so that all the money that people are paying you by the merchant services fund this account. It also integrates with payroll, that you can set it up so that it recognizes this as the payroll account, so that it, again, saves the payroll tax money and sets it aside for you. And as a great incentive, it gets a 1% APY, which, isn't a lot of money, but it's more interest than I get off of my operating business checking account. So I keep putting money into it and store my extra cash flow money into that. I don't have a separate course about it. It's also in my Look What I Found. Jeff posted a link to my blog article in there as well, where I go into detail about it. I get to take a deep breath. What questions do you have about any of those things? If you do, this is a good time to ask. The next thing that I want to do is give you an idea of how QBO operates, what it looks like, so that you know what to expect when you get set up with it. So I want to show you the basic daily workflows that you would use to take money and spend money. The first one are customer invoices and sales receipts. And so I've got one long chain on the left and one short little chain on the right-hand side. Let's actually start on the right. If your business, people just give you money and you're recording the money that you made, then you do that with a sales receipt. And at the end of the day, you take all of your sales receipts and you combine them in a bank deposit that brings all of the individual sales together into one lump sum that matches what's on your bank statement. So maybe it's all your credit cards for the day, maybe it's the checks that you took to the bank together, but that's the basic workflow. Some of you have more intricate companies than that. Maybe you start with an estimate, you put in a bid, and the customer decides if they want to work with you or not. And then if they do, you take that estimate and you turn it into an invoice for the project. You send them the invoice, they pay that invoice. What's cool about it is you can have one estimate and then break it up into what they call progress invoicing. So you can have one estimate and have like the 3 stages of the product, the initial deposit, the milestone payment, and then when the whole project is all done. When you make the payments, you can pay each individual invoice. You can make one payment against all the invoices. You can also make partial payments. You can just pay half of an invoice. It's completely flexible. All of those payments get gathered into undeposited funds, and it's the same with the sales receipts. All of the money that got deposited for the day all gets grouped together so that it matches the bank. Let me take a minute and just demonstrate what this looks like. So I'm going to go into the sales center here on the left, and I want to go into the customers list, and let's go look at our customers. So here is a list of all of my customers and jobs, and I can see that I have a money bar across the top, and I can see that I have 20 open invoices, and 10 of them are overdue, and I can go look at those overdue invoices so that I can communicate with those customers and say, hey, if I go into one of the transactions, now I can see their entire history, all their invoices, all their payments, all of their transactions. And if I either go to the new transaction button right here, I can do invoices and payments and estimates and sales receipts. I also want to point out that there is the plus new button here. I can actually get here from everywhere. I don't even have to go into the customer card. I can be anywhere in the system and make a new invoice. But in any case, if I wanted to make a new invoice, I would click on invoice, and then I would pick the customer that it's for. Let's go ahead and do Amy. Oh, I got a little interstitial thing. Let's say yes to everything. Because I'm in the sample file, it's trying to help me with stuff. Okay, so here I'm making an invoice for Amy, and I can go ahead and say, all right, I just did 4 hours of gardening for her. Now I can save and send it to her, and then she can do a pay now button. Or I can just go ahead and close it and put it on her list. When I receive payment from Amy, notice that she has several open invoices with me, but let's say she sends me $500. I can say, okay, new transaction, I received a payment. She paid me, okay, let me not use 500 because there's not a 500 here. Maybe she paid me, here's that $239. So I'll go ahead and say that she has now paid me $239, and that will close the invoice for me. That's kind of what it looks like when you receive money from customers. The next thing that I want to look at are expenses. So with expenses, again, there's kind of 2 general workflows. If you are somebody who just pays the bills, right? In QBO, that's not really a bill, that's an expense. A bill is when you know that you owe money and you put it in the system to remind you that you owe money and you pay it later on. If you think of pay the bills as you take that stack of envelopes that's stacked up through the month and it's the end of the month and you just open up all the envelopes and pay them, that's not really accounts payable, that's just expenses. So when you are entering just your expenses in, here's my phone, here's my gas and water, here's some office supplies, you can do that either by checks or credit cards. It's really super easy to just enter a check or enter a credit card. Or maybe you are a bigger business and you have more steps in your process. Maybe you put it in an order with a supplier for merchandise that you resell. So you start with a purchase order. Then you can turn that into 1 or more bills. And then that sits on your report saying that you owe the money. And then when you pay it, you enter in your payments. Bills and payments have that same one-to-many relationship. It's completely flexible. You can have 1 bill with 1 payment. You can have 3 bills that all get paid, that you paid all 3 bills with 1 check or credit card expense. You can make partial payments. It doesn't matter. You have full ability. Let's take a look at that. If I go to expenses and look in the expenses center, the first thing that I see here is a chronological list of all of my money out. And it doesn't even matter in this view whether I paid from my checking account or I paid by credit card. This view is just showing me chronologically all the money as it's going out of the company. And if I go to the vendors tab right here, this breaks it up by who I paid. So I can go ahead and look at any one of my vendors. Vendors are people you pay. And here, the same way, I can say new transaction. Okay, I just want to write them a check. And so I can go ahead and write a check. And here it's even smart enough saying, hey, you have an open bill to this guy. Do you want to pay that bill? Sure. I'll go ahead and add it. Now that check that I'm writing actually becomes a bill. And this is where there's a built-in bill pay as well. What I'm showing you right now is if I was writing out a paper check or sending them through my printer, but there is an integration here where I can have it paid electronically, and it's either 99 cents to do an ACH direct deposit or $1.99 to send a check. But hey, I'm happy to pay that if it means I don't have to write out the check and stick it in an envelope and put a stamp on it and get it out the door. I'll go through and finish this payment. And so I'm going to go ahead and pay this bill, and I'll save and close. The cool thing about this manual stuff that I'm showing you is that when I go back to the banking feed, if I send that check, it might not get cashed for a week, but when they do cash it, it will show up here in the banking feed as a match. And then I'll go ahead and just be able to say match on it. The bank feeds should match if you've got your dates right and you've got your dollar amounts right. The bank feeds will match those totals and confirm that they're in the system. However, there is also this plus new button up here with the bank deposit. And there is an extra step when you are combining payments, whether it's merchant services, batching a whole bunch of credit cards together, or your daily sales and you're taking a bunch of checks together in one deposit. This is the window where you go through and say, hey, I'm taking these 3 payments together. So I'm going to check off these 3 and I'm making a deposit in the bank for $2,301. And then I'll say save on that. That dollar amount there will match in the banking feed. So that's kind of what the routine looks like. Now, this is just the quick, fast demo. Exactly this is what my class next week is about, my QBO fundamentals class on July 15th and 16th on Tuesday and Wednesday. We are going to go through this workflow with a microscope, and I'm going to show you what to do every step along the way on the income side and the expense side, so that when you come out of that class, you're going to know exactly what to do to handle your routine daily transactions. Somebody asked about a delayed charge on the menu. You've got an eagle eye. You're fast. When I go up to the plus new button, there's a delayed charge and delayed credit. What that means is, let's say, like this is Craig's landscaping file. You go and you do a weekly mowing, but you don't invoice your client every time you mow. You just do it at the end of the month. So you can do a delayed charge every time you do the mowing, and then at the end of the month, you collect all the delayed charges together, and then you can invoice them out. So it's a way of collecting the transactions together. This is where it all comes together. Why are we even doing this in the first place? Why is this worth it? It's all about the reports. There's 2 reasons that we need reports. One is to pay Uncle Sam. We need to know what we're supposed to pay in taxes. And of course, we want to pay as little in taxes as we can. You think about your reports in a way of organizing the information for your taxes, and that's where your accountant comes in. So tax prep is the first one. There's profit and loss reports and balance sheet reports, but I also have a 2-hour class just on reports. Basic reports like profit and loss statement and balance sheet, that's your general operations where you're keeping track of the things that go onto your tax forms. And every business owner should know how to read those. There's a whole other set of reports. And so the second purpose of reports in your QuickBooks Online is for you to manage your company, for you to know what's going on, to be able to slice and dice your numbers. Because if you can analyze your company, you can figure out who are your best clients. You may have one client who you think is your cash cow, where like you made tons of money from that customer. But after you start doing job costing, you realize how much expense went in to buy the materials for them, or how much of your time went into managing that customer. And you realize that who you thought was this amazing customer, you made like this much money from. But then this other customer who didn't have a whole lot of business, but it was almost all profit. In the same way, you can look at your products and your services. Which ones have your best margin? Which ones are your most popular? That way you can analyze your business, and maybe you went into business to do this one thing that you're passionate about. But by the time you start running your numbers, you realize that while that's all well and good, this other side project that you did just for kicks made you way more money. Well, maybe you should pivot a little bit and do more of that other thing that made you more money. Then your company's going to grow. So I love analyzing my reports for growth. And I want to just real quick show you what the reports center looks like. So again, in this black bar on the left-hand side, here's reports. And so the number of reports that you see depends on what version of QBO you have. If you have Simple Start, you don't have much flexibility, but you also don't have a lot of features in the system. So Simple Start only has like 20 reports. Plus has over 100 different reports. And if you get advanced, not only does it have those 100+ reports, but you also get a free subscription to Fathom, which is this third-party app that really gets into all your key performance indicators and makes you really think about your business on a whole new level. I mean, that's one thing that I'm learning about, because this learning process is never ending. I'm learning how to slice and dice my company in new ways of thinking about it. There's places where I thought we were doing great where we have room to improve. And that's what all of this is about. But look at all these different reports, sales tax reports, accounting reports, all of that. I didn't mention, by the way, that there is also a tax center in here. I can't really demonstrate it, but QBO will manage your sales tax for you and tell you what you're supposed to pay every single month, although it can't make the payments for you yet. So definitely take a look at your sales tax and your payroll tax portal on that left-hand side. So people have been putting in your questions, and so that's awesome. I'll keep answering them. Let's start our conclusion. All these things that I'm hyper excited about, just the tip of the iceberg. What we looked at today were all the bells and whistles of what QBO does for your company, what it looks like, and what opportunities you have. If you were like, ooh, I want to learn how to do that, that's what next week's QBO Fundamentals class is about. It's 6 hours, and we're going to go through all the hands-on work of what it looks like to do your daily workflow as a business owner. In my OWLs, my on-demand, web-based learning system, I have all these other deep dive topics to answer all your questions and solve all your pain points about how to do different things inside the system. If you want to see this presentation that I just did, again, it was recorded. And originally, we weren't going to make it available, but hey, we decided why not. So this link right here, this beginner's guide to QBO, will be in as a free course in my OWLs. And so you can go in and rewatch it and re-download the handouts, and it'll be broken up into bite-sized pieces. So instead of one big, long, hour-long presentation, it's going to be in some smaller chunks. Next week, here is the link to sign up for my course next week. And so again, it's on Tuesday the 15th and Wednesday the 16th from 9 to noon on each of the 2 days. It is going to be recorded. It does come with a free PDF of my book. That's actually, we're going to be working out of the book partially in that class. So you get the free PDF. Since I just pointed you to so many different little deep dive courses, not little, big deep dive courses in my portal, I'm going to do something else that originally I wasn't going to do, but I want to make that 21% coupon good on everything. So if you want to go in and register for a bunch of those different courses that I mentioned today, you can use the code for all of them. So again, it's QBO Beginner for 21% off, and you can use it for any of the on-demand classes or the live classes. I didn't even mention that Banking Center class. I completely forgot to mention that I am doing that one live on June 22nd. So I'm going to be doing the bank feeds class live, and that's one that I think everybody should take. Last but not least, I just threw a lot of stuff at you. And, I love this stuff so much that I talk really fast because I want to give you as much information and content as possible. I also have a membership program on my website. I call it my mentorship program or subscription program. So if you looked at all of those courses and you're like, oh my God, I want to take that one, I want to take that one, I want to take that one, I want to take that one. Instead of registering for them all individually, you also have the option to subscribe to my mentorship program. And at the bronze level, it gives you all of the videos. You can watch them, every single one of them, at no extra charge, as many times as you want to. At the bronze level, it's $29 a month. That's it, just $29, and you have full access to everything. If you want to participate in the live classes, and I do a live office hours community meeting every single month. And so if you want to participate in those, then you join at the silver level at $79 a month. So you get the whole library and to pick and choose your live sessions. And then I also have a gold membership as well. And gold gives you all of that, plus a dedicated hour of my time every single month so that you and I can meet together and I can answer your specific list of questions. If you're a business owner, we can even use it to make sure that you're doing things accurately. We can use it to reconcile your bank accounts so that your bank balances match. We can use it literally for anything that you want. So we can do bookkeeping with it. If you're a bookkeeper, by joining my mentorship program, you actually have a resource that when you have questions about a client's file and what to do, I can help you answer those. So that's what my mentorship membership program is all about. Take a look at that. So it really depends if you want to do the a la carte on-demand videos or the subscription-based. The benefit of buying a course directly is that you get lifetime access and it's evergreen. Every time I reteach the course, I update it because, QBO evolves over time. It looks different now than it did 2 years ago. So every time the differences are enough, I re-record the course. And if you paid for it once a couple of years ago, you still get the updated interface and the updated content, versus the subscription where you have full access to the current material. If you have any questions about that, hit us up either in the chat or reach out to Jeff afterwards, and we are absolutely more than happy to help you find the right solution for you. In finishing up, here's my direct information. I am Alicia Katz Pollock from Royalwise.com. And I want to give a huge, huge thank you and shout out to our sponsor for today, Mariette Martinez. Many of you know her. She has a program called Master Your Books at courses.masteryourbooks.com. And so for any of you who are bookkeepers, who are just getting started with your practice, she is the best coach and cheerleader you can possibly get. She'll help you figure out who is your ideal client, how to find more of those clients, and how to do your billing so that you get paid what you are worth and what you deserve. So thanks, Mariette, for supporting me, and I'm so delighted that I get to collaborate with you. Stick around. For those of you who can stay for a few minutes, I'm going to do the drawings for the prizes, and we'll do an open Q&A session. For those of you who have to go, thank you so much for coming, and I will see you in class. If anybody wants to come up and participate live in the conversation, go ahead and raise your hand. There's a raise your hand button in the Zoom toolbar, and I can make you live. Otherwise, I'm going to just go through and we're going to let everybody allowed to talk. And so if you want to chime in, you can. Hi, Christy. How are you?
I'm doing good.
How was today? What'd you think?
It was good. I just use QuickBooks 2014 on a desktop.
Oh,
so
okay.
This is all just, it's quite a bit to take in. I'm just trying to figure out if that's something I'll go to in the future. Mm-hmm. Right now my accountants are fine with me maybe just updating to a newer desktop version, but I just kind of wanted to see what this was about. My son had taken some classes at U of O a couple years ago, and he was showing me QuickBooks Online, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that?
Exactly.
It does look a little bit more user-friendly, what you're, showing on the screen. It does look better than it did, 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, they've been really working hard on it and really making just a fantastic customer experience. And if you've been using QuickBooks Desktop 2014, like right now, Intuit just supports 2019 and higher. Yeah. So the version that you're using probably does everything that you've always needed it to do.
Right.
But you're totally missing out on all the new modern innovations.
Right. Right.
And so, sure, you could just upgrade to the latest version. But if any of the things that I showed you today, you're like, oh, yeah, I could totally use that, then it might be worth going to QBO instead, because most of the stuff I showed you just isn't in desktop.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to see it just to get an idea. I don't know that I need to do all of the different integration type of stuff, but I know we're in a changing world, so I have to kind of be a little bit aware.
Yeah. Well, and that's where looking at the different versions of it comes into play, because you can figure out what exactly is the right version for you so that you don't bite off more than you can chew. Right. You want to start with the things you need, and then you add on the opportunities after that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, excellent. Okay, good. Tanisha, you also had a question. The membership program can include help with desktop. Absolutely. I only have 2 desktop courses in my portal. I have one, the fundamentals class in desktop, but for the general Q&A, sure, I can help with desktop too.
Alicia, Courtney here. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, please.
You had mentioned uploading pictures of the receipts earlier. I love that, but I just missed where you said we do that. Is like we need to download that on our phones to have that, or how does that work again?
Yeah. So when you go into the banking center, right here, there's a receipts center right there. And so when I go to receipts, this is where you can manage the receipts themselves. And so you can upload them from your computer. You can either drag and drop into the box, or you can click and navigate to them. You can access your Google Drive account too. And there's a section right here. It's not going to show up because this is a test file, but this is a place where you can set up an email address where you can forward your emails. And so like I would make royalwise@qbodocs.com. But you put your company name in the beginning of it, and then you can forward your emails. Then what you do is you download the QBO app, and you log into the QBO app with the same login that you use on the browser. And then there's an add a receipt button just right in the app, and then you just take a picture of it, and it doesn't even save it on your phone. It just puts it in the system. And then it shows up here for review, and you go down the list of receipts to type in what everything is for. It has some OCR. The OCR isn't too smart though.
Great. Thank you so much. So
helpful. Good. Oh, Tia asks, why do I tend not to recommend the self-employed QuickBooks? And the reason for that is that it really is kind of bare bones. The only thing that it does well is look at your personal checking account and allow you to say, this is business, this is personal, this is business, this is personal, this is business, this is personal. You can enter in a sale. Like if you have a customer, you can enter in a sale and swipe their card. You can't customize the chart of accounts. You have to use just a straight up Schedule C that matches your taxes. You can't really look up your customers and analyze your customers and their sales and see like, oh, Alicia came to me 5 times for these services. You don't have any of that. It's literally like, I got some money that I have to report. I got some money I have to report. And that's it. I find it's too limiting for most people, but there's also no upgrade path. So if you start with self-employed and then you're like, oh man, I can't use it, it doesn't give me enough, you have to start over again from scratch with Simple Start. And so that's why I like to put people in Simple Start, unless they're just true hobbyists.
Hey, Alicia. Hey, this is Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Hey, I just wanted to add to your comments on that Simple Start version. One of the problems, especially if you are working with a CPA or an enrolled agent to prepare your taxes and you have a business, you need a balance sheet and an income statement. That version of QuickBooks does not create a balance sheet, and it's So it just creates a lot of extra work at the end of the year.
Yeah, Denise, that's a great point. So going back to Tia, your question about why not self-employed, the self-employed doesn't have a balance sheet. And what a balance sheet is that's the summary of all of the money you have in your business bank accounts and that you owe on your business credit card, and all of your loans and all of the personal money that you put in to start the company, or all of the personal money that you took out of the company. And these are things that accountants need for your taxes, for your business taxes, and they don't exist in self-employed. The only thing self-employed does is run a Schedule C report and nothing else. It's just kind of thinking like, oh, we're just going to limit you to this little bit of business. And it doesn't give you a big picture. That anybody who's operating as a business, no matter how small, you can't denigrate yourself for a business being small. That's not a bad thing. It's just where you're at. As you do more and develop, there's almost no way of not outgrowing self-employed.
Alicia, I do have a question.
Please.
This may be getting into a little too much detail, and you can tell me if that's true. But when earlier we were talking about, you send out an invoice, and when the person pays for it, it kind of just goes right back in to QuickBooks and does all the things you want it to do, which is wonderful. Something that I've had trouble with was when I switched my bank account, we had a bunch go under the wrong bank account. Would you be able to just show where one would reassign a bank account when you switch over to make sure that those invoices are getting to the right one? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Let me go ahead and share out again. So there's two places, depending on your workflow, where that is going to come into play. If I look at a customer payment, so this is Amy paying this invoice, there's a deposit to field right here. And your best practice is to always use undeposited funds. That's because no matter which bank account it shows up in, they all look to undeposited funds to see if there's matches there. So by doing this, then you eliminate any possibility of depositing money into the wrong account because QuickBooks will find it wherever it happened to go. The other alternative is that you could have specified, oh, I'm going to deposit this to my checking account, or I'm going to deposit it to this other account over here. And that's where you run the risk of mismatching. Like you accidentally deposited it to this account, but it really went to that other account, in which case you would just open it up. And honestly, I would then just put it back to undeposited funds and then let the bank feed find it in either place. The other place where that does show up, when I go to the plus new button and the bank deposit right here, if a bank deposit was made to the wrong account, then you would change it right here. You would say, oh, that didn't go to my checking account. That went to this other, my savings account or this other account over here. And then you can change it.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Somebody asked more about my mentorship program. So in the same way that I'm just kind of answering your questions right now, you're going to have questions when you're using your QBO. I have my mentorship program is designed to give you that extra level of support. So our OWLs, it's what I call the library, has not just QuickBooks, but we also have Apple, Microsoft, and Business Productivity, and a whole set of free videos. And that's where this one from today is going to wind up. And so when I go into QBO, and I have the option for my mentorship program, my live classes like this one and the class next week, my video library, my books, and I also have a whole set of topics just for bookkeepers and accountants. So if you're a bookkeeper, I have additional topics about using the QBOA portal, manage your client base. But here in the QBO video courses, these are the ones that you can buy on demand. And so it tells you how long it is and how much it costs. And then every time you buy one of these, it's lifetime access and it's evergreen so that as I update it, you get all the new information. Each one of these has a forum on the left-hand side. Here's an Ask Questions forum. And so when you take any one of the courses, there's a place where you can go to ask about ask any questions that you have. And when you post here, it alerts me and I go in and I answer all your questions. So if you're a bronze member, you can use all of the forums for all of the different courses. If you're a silver member, then on the third Thursday of every single month at 1 p.m. Pacific time, we have our mentorship membership meeting, or what I call my office hours, because I have a master's in teaching. I'm an actual teacher. And so at my office hours, either I'll present about a topic or we'll do a round robin where everybody can pick my brain and get their own questions answered. And then at the gold level, we can meet for an hour. It can be one hour session the same day every month. It could be 2 30-minute appointments whenever you need them. Some people just make a Slack channel and just hit me up all month on Slack, and I keep track of how much time we've used, and when they reach their hour, they're done. And if you need me for a project beyond that, then you also, gold members, get an additional 10% off my hourly rate, which is $175 an hour. But that way, my mentorship program isn't about access to information. It's not like the beginners get this amount and the intermediate people get this amount. It's not like that. It's what do you need to know, or how much information do you want with me? We have all these courses about all these different topics, and then you can pick the one that you need. Are you setting up a new file? You take the setting up course. Do you want to figure out how to make your forms look good? You take that course. Do you need to figure out the sales tax center? You take that course. If you want to learn how to analyze your reports to get growth, you take that course. It's kind of the best of all worlds. For those of you who are bookkeepers or intermediate level, I do have tricky situations, which is loans and lines of credit and bartering and bounced checks. I have next level accounting. That's kind of like, I call it my journal entries course and my $0 checks course, where I teach you how to kind of game the system and twist the transactions so that the right things go in the right buckets. Thank you all so much for your time today. Thanks for spending. Thank you for your enthusiasm, and let me know how I can help. This is Alicia Katz Pollock, and I'll see you in class.